The other tool that's really cool in Adobe Lightroom that is both a technical, practical tool, but also can be a fun digital manipulation tool, creative tool, is this masking brush. And again, when you select the tool, the interface opens with all the options for mask. I generally like to reset the mask back to 0 all across the board, and you do that by double clicking on the word mask, and that will reset any slide back to 0. I also like to select Show Selected Mask Overlay, which is located down at the bottom. And now wherever I put part of my mask, I will get some red paint. I can hit Command Z at any time to undo any brush stroke that I might do. There's a couple constraints that you want to make note of. If you at any time paint in your mask and need to erase it, the eraser tool is down below. So you can easily erase any extra lines you don't want to make. And the feather is down here as well. So if I want my edge to be softer so it's not as distinct of an adjustment, I can change my feather. I'm going to keep my feather for now at about 50%. And I'm going to come in here and start painting. You'll notice that my cursor has a circle around it, and it has 2 circles, one inside the other. The thickness of that outline is determined, or the feather is determined by the thickness of those lines. So if I think in this image that the exposure in the sky and the water and my subject is all good exposure, but the sand in the foreground is a little bit too dark, I could come in and paint my sand. So again, you can see how soft that edge is. I can come in and paint all the sand that I want to lighten up a little bit. I can change my brush size by hitting the bracket keys on my keyboard to the left and to the right. You'll also notice that if you come down here, you can adjust the size there, and it shows you the cursor just to the left, which is a really nice function. I do prefer to use, because it's quicker, the shortcut. If I want to zoom in, I can come over to Navigator and hit Fill or 1-to-1 to get even closer, and then I can navigate with my navigation window so that I'm closer into my subject. So when I paint, I can have more control and see where I'm painting. Notice I'm painting with this smaller brush, and so that feather that I had earlier is not 100% painted. You'll see that you can see red on red, which means that that edge is now much firmer than it was previously. So my adjustment or whatever change I make to this part of the image with the mask is actually going to do it more of 100% now than it was previously. So I'm going to come in and just paint this section, leave it up to your imagination. With the rest, I'm going to go back to fit. And now that I've got my paint, everywhere that's red is going to be changed when I hit this adjustment. Everything else in the image will stay the same. I'm going to deselect my Show Selected Mask Overlay down here so that it actually looks like I've done nothing. But because I've got this little dot here with a black circle inside, I know that I have made a mask of some sort. Right now I've made no adjustment to that mask, but I am getting ready to change the exposure. So I'm going to come over here to exposure, and I'm going to increase that exposure. So what I'm doing is slightly lightening whatever area that I painted. You can see where I went in with that smaller brush and some of the areas that I missed when I was painting. So I can come in now. I'm still active. Notice that little black circle and the white dot is selected. That means that that is the particular mask that is active. So I can come in here and make adjustments to the areas that I missed the first time around. Now, for instance, I overshot this on the ocean a little bit, and again on her leg. So I can come in, use a little bit smaller of a brush, and erase some of that mask. Now if I select Show Selected Mask Overlay, I can actually see where the red is, or I can just work with the adjustment I'm working with, because that's what the final image is going to look like anyway, and adjust it that way. If I just want to make a little bit of an adjustment, I can always come down and change this flow so that the flow is closer to 50%. So if it makes an adjustment, it's not adjusting it 100%. So it's got a little bit more gradual adjustment. If I want to go back and add to my mask, I select brush A again, and I can come in and continue to add back to that mask. So you can toggle back and forth between eraser and adding to that mask very easily over here. So I come over, I can remove some of that lightening that I did accidentally on her leg. Okay, so I can adjust this image. It looks like an additional lighting source was used because the ground is a little bit brighter and her body is a little bit brighter. So it kind of looks a little bit more professional because I've made this adjustment. This is the more practical way to use this mask tool. I hit enter. You'll notice the little black dot goes away. If I ever wanted to make an additional adjustment, say for instance I wanted to come in and make the sky less blue, I could add a new mask. I come in, I paint. Notice now I have two dots, my active dot, which I just painted, and the one that was previous, which I can go back to if I wanted to or not. I can just go to this one. And I can come up here and change the color balance of that sky. And I can continue to add to that while that adjustment's on, or I can add Show Selected Mask Overlay. So you don't have to just stick to one specific mask in an image. You can always add multiple masks. You just have to select which one you want to edit and toggle between those dots while you're making that adjustment.